How's it going, Triple S members? Hope everybody's having a great day so far. Just want to thank everybody for joining us yet again on another Triple S live webinar. I'm your host, Brett Battaglia with Triple S. Today we have Kara and Holly at Gojo, who will be talking about how to position yourselves as your customers' go-to expert for all things hygiene and disinfection. They're also going to touch on how to identify key decision makers and effectively address their common concerns. If you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to ask at any time. We have a Q&A spot down at the bottom as well as a chat box, and I'll do my best to address any questions as they come up through the presentation. Since this is being run on a Zoom meeting rather than a Zoom webinar format, we do ask that everybody stays muted just to eliminate any background noise. As always, these webinars will be recorded and added to our members portal at the end of the day. So without further ado, I'd like to hand the floor over to Kara and Holly.
Thank you so much, Brett. Looking forward to chatting with you all today and hopefully following up afterwards. So I guess I'll dive in without further ado. I'm Kara Kramer. I think I have met most of you at some point. Senior Corporate Account Director for Gojo. I have responsibility for all of our group business. And Holly, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Holly Lobsher, been with Gojo for over 16 years, key account manager and all things Triple S. So anything you guys need or can't find, please reach out.
Excellent. So we'll go ahead and jump into the content, just confirming that y'all can see it. Give me a thumbs up. Excellent. Okay. So for those who don't know, and even for those who do, just a quick refresher on who Gojo is. Gojo is a 78-year-old now, family-owned company. We're headquartered in Akron, Ohio. Most of our operations are in Ohio, including warehousing, distribution, manufacturing. Folks generally know us for one of two things. They either know us for the heavy-duty hand cleaner canister that Grandpa used in the garage, the Gojo branded heavy-duty hand cleaner, or for Purell hand sanitizer, which was also something that we invented back in the late 90s. Obviously, for those of you who've worked with us for a very long time, our story is really one of not just creating a product, but creating solutions that fulfill, that solve the problems that people may have. We've been working with independent distribution since back in, gosh, the early 90s in terms of kind of Janssen distribution, mid to late 90s. And that was really with the introduction of the universal tip 800 ml refill. And that's really where our relationship with Triple S started. So we've been working with independents for a very long time, value those relationships. And, as a family-owned business ourselves, we value what y'all bring to the table as well. This is just a really quick visual to remind you of kind of where we've been. Already mentioned that we were founded based on, or started with the world's first heavy-duty hand cleaner. That was created because Goldie Lippman worked in the rubber factories in Akron, Ohio during World War II. They told her and the other women working there during the war to clean their hands with kerosene. And she said, absolutely not. I am not going to do that. That's going to destroy my skin. So her husband, Jerry, worked with a chemist at Kent State University to create the world's first heavy duty hand cleaner, which was kind of skin, but also remove the soil from the hands of the workers. And that was something that kind of launched the company. Over time, we launched the first portion controlled dispenser, which was green before green was cool. That was created to solve another customer problem. When Jerry would go around in his car and try to resell the product, sell a second time to the same customers, they would say, my employees are using too much of this. I'm not going to reorder. This is getting too expensive. So he created this portion controlled hand dispenser using old pickle jars and using as the dispenser cranks from windows that he sourced at the local junkyard. So he was recycling way back when. And that enabled folks to more cost effectively use the product that they needed. And over time, I already mentioned the sanitary sealed 800 ml universal tip refill for 800 ml dispensers back in the 80s and 90s. We launched the first reliable touch-free dispensing system in the US back in 2006, for those of you who are around there and remember that. And then over time, we've expanded into things that I'll talk about a little bit more detail today. But this is just kind of a quick visual to where we have been. In terms of the brands, if you see out there in the market, Gojo, Purell, or Pravan, those are all Gojo brands. Realize that those are the brands that we have gone to market with, and anything you see those logos on are really ours. Purell and Gojo are really our focus brands right now. Purell being kind of in the soap and sanitizer space, Gojo being more of the heavy duty sort of space. And then if you happen to run into Pravan dispensers out in the market, know that those are healthcare, one of our healthcare lines that is out there kind of in legacy products. But also, and there is value in that brand, I'll come back to that, but also I want to remind you all that the other heavy brand focus that we have is on your brands, on the Triple S brands, Foam Fresh and Hygiene Point. You can see that portfolio here, and we'll get into more detail on the products in a moment. And the reason that we have kind of the Purell brand as a kind of our leader in a lot of places, particularly in hand sanitizer, is that it is a brand that people recognize. Never so much so as now, kind of post the pandemic era, when folks were of necessity had to use other products, maybe products made under temporary use authorization by the FDA that were maybe manufactured by distilleries or imports or things like that, that maybe didn't have the same aesthetic that they came to expect from the hand sanitizer that used in Purell. So that's kind of played out over time. We now see that folks, when we do surveys, 97% of people agree that Purell is a brand they want to use in their facility. It provides a better experience to their employees or better perception to their customers. It's a trusted brand in surface products. And something that you should know is that if there are 4 times more people who prefer Purell hand sanitizer in a public space. What that means to you is if you put that Purell brand on a wall, 4 times more people are going to hit that dispenser. So you're likely to see 4 times more throughput through that dispenser. So just a note on our brands and why we focus on those in addition to the Triple S brands, which are very important to y'all. So really quickly, I'm going to go into some things to look for when you walk into a sales call the first time, when you are, going to go and have a conversation about skincare. They might already be a customer that you've built a relationship with. You might already be selling them something, and you want to take a look at their skincare. What are some things that you might want to look for? Well, this is probably not going to surprise many of you, but the things that we are seeing as kind of macro level trends in the market right now, the things that most of the decision makers related to our product categories are concerned about are a couple of different things here. 1 and 2 kind of go together: labor and operational efficiencies. Everybody's operating under tremendous profitability pressure. Everybody's operating in a situation where it's hard to find employees right now. So what we're trying to do is help them find ways to hire employees, keep those employees, keep them happy, find ways to do more with less. So they're spending fewer man hours on doing things like changing out refills in dispensers or changing out dispensers altogether. And then on the next side of that, safety and efficacy, there's been a lot of focus over the last few years related to how do germs get transmitted? Is it through the air, through the hands, on surfaces? Do all products work the way that they're advertised? And are we using the safe products in spaces like schools where things need to be safe, but also effective? And then finally, customer perception, as there's a lot more competition in lots of different public spaces for folks who are coming out into the market to shop, to travel, what have you, improving that experience and kind of leveling that up versus the competition with products that people want to use and providing an environment that people like to use. So when you think about all of those things in terms of skincare, it's soap is soap, right? Like, so if I've got the soap dispenser and a refill that goes into that, or some bulk that I can pour into that, that's, goes on the wall, that's great. That solves the customer's problem. As long as it's the lowest cost, technically acceptable thing, that's probably fine, right? Well, I will say, sure, but there are a lot of different things that soap and sanitizer and surface disinfectants play into, a lot of issues or a lot of problems that you can solve for your customers by matching them with the right product. So you can see them kind of popping up on the screen on the right-hand side. So yes, can you just give them the cheapest thing out of the box? Sure thing, but that may not solve the problems that they have. So I'm going to list a couple of things that you can look for when you're walking into your customer to help you kind of dig deeper and maybe not just go out and sell them the least expensive thing that they think they need, maybe sell them something that might be a little bit more profitable for you. So the first thing, I love showing this slide. Some of you may have seen this slide in a presentation I've given in the past, but one thing that we always suggest is just go into a washroom in the facility or any other space where folks might be washing their hands and see what they're using today, because that might give you a really good insight into what some of their clear pain points might be. So this is an example of different facilities that either, maybe use bulk soap of different varieties, whether that's in, kind of a mustard bottle that's labeled soap with some bulk. Whether that might be a broken dispenser on the wall, whether that might be a dispenser that's not functioning. So somebody labels, it does no work. That's okay. Neither do we. A dispenser that might, if you look underneath it, have a bunch of corrosive, nasty stuff hanging off of it, or maybe multiple dispensers that people have just kind of popped up on the wall as different ones have broken. So these are some sorts of things that are really quickly will show you, hey, maybe these are some things that we might want to think about. So you saw on that first slide there some contaminated bulk soap dispensers. This is a place really quickly you can take a look at and go, hey, have you seen what's in your bathroom? Have you noticed that those soap dispensers you have on the wall have some kind of nasty looking stuff in them? That could be doing a couple things to you. One, that could be, actually causing transmission of germs. Two, that may be causing customers to go, ooh, I don't know if that looks like that in the bathroom, what are their standards elsewhere, right? And then also something that people might not think about is, oh, bulk soap is cheap, right? I can save costs there. Well, maybe on the product line, but if you look at how much time folks spend refilling those dispensers, cleaning off those dispensers, things like that, that's the cost of the employees is significantly higher. If you're paying someone $15 or $20 an hour and they're spending, 15 minutes working on that, saving, a buck or two on the soap is probably not actually saving things at all. It's kind of penny smart, pound foolish. The other thing that you might call out to these customers is that, hey, did you know that you're actually supposed to be cleaning out these bulk dispensers in between every usage? I can guarantee you that anyone who has those installed on the wall is not going in and taking them down and cleaning them out properly every time they use them. So just something to keep in mind, some thoughts to keep in mind. So what is the solution you can provide? The sanitary sealed refills of all different kinds. You have them in Triple S brand and countermount. So if folks are using a bulk dispenser and countermount, you might not be able to see that contamination, but I can guarantee you that it's probably still there. And you can also have some of those issues related to the labor and the refill costs as well. And then also, if these are wall-mounted dispensers, or if they have opportunity for wall-mounted dispensers, you might consider the 2,000 ml refill because, hey, that's going to be a lower cost refill for them, especially with some of the price support tools we have. And it reduces the amount of time between change-outs in the dispensers, so your labor costs go down. And it's sanitary sealed, so you're not going to have to worry about some of these issues related to contamination and related to efficacy and things like that. So secondly, I mentioned that you have countermount in the Foam Fresh, the Triple S Foam Fresh platform. Just know that a lot of folks are going to a touch-free dispensing system, which you have in the Foam Fresh, and understand that these bulk systems that exist today in a lot of spaces often have dispensers that clog, often are more likely to fail. So folks have to end up replacing them. If you can get them into your touch-free system with a refill, competitive refill there that is sanitary sealed, that can really take away some of that labor burden. It also has a better impact in terms of impression on customer when you have a touch-free system in the restroom. Third off, I'm just going to call out that not just Gojo legacy dispensers, but if you happen to have a customer that you have walked into and you've been going in there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and you notice that they haven't changed something out for that period of time, you might want to think about maybe showing them the new things that are out there. Because whether it's Gojo or another line, eventually those things are going to get either going to be discontinued and you're going to want to move them into an upgraded system anyway. And if you're the first one who gets there, you're more likely to get the sale and the replacement. Or two, if you're not showing them the newest systems, I can guarantee you that there's probably someone out there who is willing to go in and show them newer systems. And you want to make sure that you're staying ahead of that and consulting with your customers and making sure that they have the latest information on the latest options. So just keeping that in mind, we'll show you what some of those newer systems are in just a moment. And then from a surface sanitization and disinfecting perspective, I'm going to show you actually the quick tip first. If you go and you know what a customer's using, if you happen to get a chance to look into their closet or carts that they're moving around or what have you, or you just happen to notice the label of what they have, I would suggest taking a look at that label and making sure that what they're using and what they think they're doing with that match up, right? So all of these are fabulous products up here. All of them kill germs. But when you read the label, you want to make sure that it is appropriate for the surfaces that they're using it on. Is it something that is going to corrode those surfaces? If there is a requirement that PPE be worn while using that, and a lot of folks don't realize this, but PPE is required for a lot of these different products. The label will say you need to wear gloves, you need to wear glasses, you need to rinse off a surface or thing like that. If they are not doing that, they may be opening themselves up to risk either for employees or in school districts school districts, particularly if students are maybe using a surface that residue gets left on, their arms are on it, you suddenly have a rash of students having skin breakout, things like that. So read that label, double check and make sure that they're using it the way that they're supposed to be, that it is when they're wetting a surface, the product is saying wet as long as it needs to be for the longest listed kill time on the label. If they're not leaving that surface wet, then it is not actually doing what it's intended to do. A lot of folks don't know that. So if you look at some of these charts and look at some of these labels and it says 10 minutes, is the longest term. If that surface isn't staying wet for 10 minutes, they need to be coming back and re-wetting it. So that's a good opportunity for you to educate your customers and kind of take a look at what they're using and make sure that that product is appropriate for their use case. So of course, then I have to call out for you that the Purell surface disinfectant family, we have the sprays as well as the surface wipes available through the RDC. Those have a very short dwell time for a lot of things, but the surface spray basically kills everything within 5 minutes. Same thing with the wipes. Most of the kill claims are within 30 to 60 seconds. So you spray the surface, it's wet long enough, or wipe the surface, it's wet long enough. By the time you wipe it off, it is killed what it's intended to kill. It's also food contact safe with no rinse. You can spray it down in a kitchen area and not worry about overspray onto something else. And it is category 4, low toxicity, does not require gloves, masks, glasses, anything like that. And then it is also one of the only EPA designed for the environment certified disinfectants out there and sanitizers out there. And that's important to know for folks who are customers of yours who have green initiatives as well. All right, moving on then. Couple ways to, I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to Holly, actually. Holly?
Okay, no worries. So yes, please flip. So we're just going to jump in and say, these are the folks that we love to talk to. When you're obviously looking at a facilities director or purchasing folks, they care about cost, right? And how are they going to keep those costs down? So the conversation really is about how do we standardize that portfolio? How do we maximize their operational efficiency? And of course, bringing in reliable suppliers, right? That's all their concerns. And we fit really nicely in there and have a great story for that. And the other side is the environmental service directors and the safety directors. Some of you guys, if you've been at a meeting with me before, you've heard me say, back in the day, way back when, these folks, safety directors, if their employees came in with 10 fingers and 10 toes and left with 10 fingers and 10 toes, it was a great day. It was a checkbox, right? Nowadays, they're looking at the employee holistically, right? It's no longer just about, okay, did you make it through the day? Right? They want to know that, hey, are you staying safe all the way around? Are you, you'll see signs that say, are you staying hydrated? Are you getting your walks in, your steps in, things like that. So they're really taking that holistic view, and because they realize keeping their employees at peak and safe and healthy on the job is profit for them. That's how they're making money, right? So it's really important for these guys to bring in products, whether it's machinery, tools, other chemicals, whatever that is, that's going to help keep their employees on the job, right? And also comply with any kind of regulatory, certifications or things like that. So again, Purell fits really nicely into all of those conversations. Can you flip, please? We're all in sales, or if there's a reason to not do anything, right? These are some of the common objections that we hear all the time. The cost is too high. Well, what is the cost of having sick employees who aren't at peak on the job? What is that cost, right? If you look at our record, if you look at the stats and the safety data and everything, all the research and science behind what we do, there's a reason we're number one. There's a reason why we're out there. It's because we're proven to work. And I think if I'm going to probably say this a couple of times after the pandemic, when you look at some of the unacceptable products that were made out there, and eventually over 300 banned by the FDA, that was kind of proof that, hey, there's a reason why we do the things that we do. You can pay a lower cost for something, but if it's not doing the job, you're throwing your money away, right? We get the objection, we don't use hand sanitizer. I think we all know in this day and age, I call out to hospitals. Hospitals rely on this. You can't have a sink next to you every time you need a hand hygiene event, right? It's important that we have those products in place where people need them, and hospitals recognize that. And I would definitely go to the CDC and the WHO and their guidelines regarding hand sanitizer, saying that they need to have facilities need to have that product in place to keep their employees and anybody going into the building safe. We get hand hygiene is not a priority. Well, I worry about that. I think that, we teach our kids, we teach everybody to wash their hands, to practice good hand hygiene. It's a normal, in this day and age, it's a safety routine. So that's something that, we have collateral about education, which leads me into this next objection about not having time to train staff. You train on all kinds of safety factors. And if you're talking with a safety director, they'll be on board for this. But a lot of times Gojo will go in and help train and talk about best practices. But on top of that, we have plenty of collateral, posters, videos, all kinds of stuff that we can give end users to help promote correct hand hygiene, whether it's wrapped around process, timing, all that kind of stuff. And then we also hear we don't have the staff and time to install product. We have a couple of different programs to help with that because we do know that, especially for a large facility, it can be very daunting. So if you've got a, pretty big size facility, we'll do a Gojo managed installation support. So we have different programs for that. So if you come up with any of these and need, talking points or help on it or the program itself, please reach out. One thing that we really encourage and love to do is auditing a facility. And we love that people go in, if they're auditing a facility on behalf of Gojo, thank you, we really appreciate it. But we also know that you're probably looking around. It's a great way to look around and see what else they're using, right? Whether it is other mops and buckets, microfiber cloths, other chemicals, so on and so forth. Auditing a facility for you guys across the board is the best way to understand what is going on and to really streamline their, the products they're bringing in, right? And some of the things that when we do an audit that we ask is, we want to know what their goals and their priorities are when they're ordering. Like, what do they hope to accomplish? What kind of challenges and hurdles do they have? Are there any kind of complaints from the employees about what's being used? Are they having those kind of issues? And we have product solutions to solve for all of that. So going into a facility and auditing it is a fabulous way to really understand your customers. And so when I'm talking about, we have things to help support you. So one is the RDC is stocked with all the active portfolios. So all the core SKUs that you'll need, that your customers are probably going to want to use, are stocked in the RDC. So they're ready to go. We can flip. And we also have all of the S active portfolio products stocked in there. And what's great about custom brand is that they're keyed specifically for you. Nobody else can fill that dispenser. That's an extra level of protection for you and your business. It's awesome. They're not going to want to change out that dispenser just because, Joe Schmo comes in there and says, hey, look what I got. They're going to want to stick with what they have on the wall and with you and your brand. They have a lifetime performance like all of our dispensers do. And they also are available at no charge on a lot of our contracts. And we're going to get into some of those contracts here in a bit. And we generally will offer a hanging allowance. Oh, it's good. You're good. So just to get into some of the dispensers in the S brand, this Foam Fresh 2000 ml system is amazing, especially in education. So again, if you look at a lot of other dispensers, they're probably about 1,000 to 1,200 ml. Maybe they don't want to have to change out the refills that often. So they really do like this larger capacity. And they like the large sight window. If they want that closed cabinet, it locks. So if they're worried about people getting into it. So this is really an awesome manual system, especially in education. You're on mute, Kara.
If I could jump in just here, thank you. I was just talking to our public sector healthcare sales director, public sector sales director yesterday, and he let me know that one of the things they're hearing most from K through 12, particularly right now, is that they love how durable this thing is. This thing is a tank. The facilities directors are finding they don't have to replace them as often, especially in this era of abuse by students who maybe have seen a TikTok challenge or something like that. So these are dispensers that really, really hold up to the rigor of a high capacity, high usage environment. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. We also have a fabulous touch-free hygiene point system for you guys. I don't know about you, but how many times have you gone into an end user and they're exasperated or frustrated with the battery situation, having to get batteries, store batteries, you know, all of that kind of thing. I am really proud of our innovation in this, that they never have to change batteries again. To go into an end user and say, how would you like a touch-free system? And you never have to change a battery ever again. They love that. And what it is a coin cell battery on the refill. So every time a refill is put in there, they're getting fresh energy, fresh battery into it. So they never have to worry about it. It's also super easy to recycle. It has a zip tie on it. So they just take that off and separate the components and everything is recyclable. So it's pretty amazing. It really is a beautiful looking dispenser. It's really nice. It goes in a lot of decor and in facilities, and it has smart technology. This is really for healthcare, I'd say. So if they have modules, it's for compliance monitoring. But if you want information on that, please reach out. We have a lot of collateral that explain how that works. But it is smart. It does have the capabilities to have that module put into it. And then, of course, it securely locks. So what else is in your toolkit? So you'll see we have a plethora of products. Of course, we have what Gojo was built on is our heavy duty line, which is just amazing. If you have a manufacturing facility or any kind of maintenance departments and they're concerned, maybe it's oil, tar, grease, paint, whatever that is, we do have a chart that shows a soil chart to tell you what product works best on what type of soil. So that industrial line is fantastic. On the other side, you know, we have our Purell soaps and sanitizers. On the far left, you'll see that dispenser. That's our all-weather dispenser, because nowadays, hand hygiene, people expect to have some sort of hand hygiene everywhere. So whether it's in a garage, a bus stop, or whatever that is, they want something. And when you're talking about an outdoor environment, you need a pretty robust dispenser. That dispenser is designed for extreme temperatures. So whether it's 20 below or 120 above, it's just a fabulous system. And it's pretty much, it is so robust, you can take a baseball bat to that thing. So again, if you have extreme vandalism, it's a good system to look for. We also have the spill kits. I like to touch on that real quick. If you have facilities that need some sort of biohazard solution, it's really a great product, because you don't need a red bag. And as you know, that could be complicated for disposal. So those are just some of the niche products I wanted to call out on here. But of course, we could send you all that information. This is only probably not 0.5% of the collateral that we have, but we do have SSS sell sheets and brochures for you guys. So if you need that, please reach out. More than happy to send it to you. They're editable, so you could put your name, your distributor name and address and phone number on them too, and send out to your customers. And we're going to spend a little bit of time on some contracts, price, and support. So on the far left, you could see, of course, we have GPO contracts, Premier, Vizient, so on and so forth. And we also have a co-op PCA contract price support, which is a fabulous program. Dan Wagner is spearheading that. But that one is super easy to sign people up and roster people on, and they can have access to that pricing. So I highly recommend reaching out about that. I'll talk about the care programs on the next slide. So I'm going to move over to the individual price support contracts. Let's say after, that you have access to all this, but you just need a little bit extra deviation for an important piece of business. They're all important, but a good piece of business. You come to us, and it's really important if you give us the name of the end user, the address, any kind of competitive information. What are they looking for? What dispenser are they looking for? We can give you that extra price support. And we can give you that through the RDC or direct. And so now I want to talk about the Gojo Care programs. You've noticed on the previous slide, there's two different ones. There's one for education, and then there's a general one. Neither care program is not for healthcare. Healthcare is a different beast. There's a lot of rules and regulations and fees and things like that for healthcare. So that's why this would not be for that. But for any other kind of piece of business, if you need that everyday kind of deviation to go out there, this is a great program. It's for new to Gojo business, and you don't have to come to us for free approvals or individual agreements or anything like that. It has the no charge dispensers. It has discounted refills. It has a dispenser hanging allowance already on it, and Triple S branded products are on it as well. So this is an awesome program and contract to take place or to utilize. And again, you can utilize it through the RDC, or you can use it if you're direct buying, you can use it as a direct buying contract. So please reach out to any of us for that. We also have a stand promotion running through the end of the year. So you could see the list of the stands that are on there. So if you buy a case of refill, you get a stand free. Now, you will have to buy it into stock at normal cost and then rebate back. It's pretty easy to do. You'll see that we have that promo code on there and the agreement number. So it's really easy to take advantage of the stand program through the end of the year. So, when I talked about the contracts before, I said, if you give us that information, I told you the information we have to have in order to get a contract in place. But I highly encourage you, if you're talking to any of the Gojo reps out there, if you want to send it directly to Donna and to, Marty and whoever that is, your support staff, please send us the information and give it to us. I meet with Donna and Marty monthly, and we go over opportunities. But what this does is, if you were just let us know, we get it into our system. We say back at Gojo, if it's not in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. So if you've been servicing a business for quite a while, and a competitor goes in there and they ask us for pricing, we don't know that you've been servicing it. We're probably going to issue pricing, right? But if it's in our system, then you're protected, and we're like, no, Triple S has this. We're not going to give you pricing. So all we ask is for the name and address of the end user. What are they using and the quantity and that kind of thing. So we highly encourage you to please let us know those kind of things. And then you'll see, reach out. We're structured regionally and in territories. We have sellers in all of these areas. Please reach out. We can get you the name of the folks that are in your territory or region. And a lot of times we'll just help you ourselves. I'm more than happy to help you, but we'll point you in the right direction and make sure that you get the support that you need. So are there any questions?
Yeah, well, thank you guys. We appreciate all that great information, a lot of good insight, and just different ways of thinking, like you said, as opposed to just selling soap to a customer. So we appreciate all that you guys do for us. And if anybody has any questions, now would be the time to ask them. You can either unmute yourself or ask them down at the bottom where the chat box is, and I'll do my best to address them. And is there any last thoughts that you guys kind of want to wrap up with while we're waiting for any questions to come in?
I mean, I would just say that we really, really appreciate the Triple S partnership and the partnership with members over the last 40-something years. We know what you do out there. We value what you do out there, and we know that y'all are capable of selling value too. You sell value of solutions, not just products. So we would encourage you, if you have any opportunities, to reach out to us. We would love to meet with you and or other sellers on your team, and kind of consult on how we might build bigger business together. Because again, we love you, we appreciate you, and we respect what you do all day long, every day. So.
I would definitely mirror that and say, you know, we're more than happy to train. You know, if you want an hour or whatever that is for us to dive deep into the systems and just, you know, any kind of pain, you know, the things that we talk about on a daily basis, please reach out.
Awesome. Yeah, I did have one question, but it's more of an internal question. Sam, we do record all of these and we leave them on our members portal. So probably by the end of the day, you can hop onto the members only website and grab the recording of this. So other than that, it doesn't look like we have any questions right now. So I'm going to bring this session to a close. But if anybody thinks of any questions later on, feel free to absolutely reach out to us at info@tripless.com or team at Gojo directly, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Again, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today, and obviously thanks to the team at Gojo for being a part of this session. We always love to have you guys, so appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
See you guys on the next one.
Take care.